Hi, this is Hayden Gaus at Beacon Light Wealth Management. One of the hardest parts of retirement is not just saving enough money, it is knowing which account to spend from, when to spend it, and how to avoid selling investments at the wrong time. If you are retired or getting close to retirement, you have probably asked a version of this question. Where is my paycheck going to come from once I stop working? This is where our retirement income strategy called the bucket approach can be helpful. The bucket approach is also sometimes called the time segmentation approach. It sounds a little technical, but the idea is pretty simple. Instead of looking at your retirement savings as one big pile of money, you divide it based on when you expect to use it. Think of it as 3 separate buckets. Now, the first bucket is your short-term bucket. This is the money you may need in the next 1 to 3 years. It might be held in cash, money market funds, CDs, or other conservative cash alternatives. But the goal of this bucket is not to get rich. The goal of the short-term bucket is stability. This is the bucket that helps cover regular withdrawals, larger planned expenses, or gaps between income sources, like Social Security, pensions, or other required distributions. Your short-term bucket is there so your monthly income does not depend on what the stock market did this week. This can be a big emotional benefit because when the market is down, you may not want to sell long-term investments to fund everyday spending. So having a short-term bucket can give you some breathing room. The second bucket is your midterm bucket. And this is money you may need in the next 3 to 7 years or sometimes even 3 to 10 years, depending on your financial plan. But this bucket is usually invested more conservatively than your long-term money, but it may still include things like bonds, balanced funds, or other income-oriented investments. The purpose of the midterm bucket is to create a bridge. It is not sitting completely in cash, but it is also not taking the same level of risk as money you don't plan to touch for over a decade. The third bucket is your long-term bucket. This is the money you may not need for 10 plus years. This is the bucket, that is usually where you keep your investments designed for growth. A lot of people think retirement means becoming really conservative, but if you retire in your 60s, your money may need to last another 25 or 30 years. And that means inflation is still a real concern. Healthcare costs can rise, lifestyle expenses can change, and your portfolio still needs some ability to grow over time. Retirement does not mean your money stops working. It means your money needs a different job description. That is really just the heart of the bucket strategy. Each bucket has a job. Short-term money is for stability. Medium-term money is for flexibility. Long-term money is for growth. Now here's an important point. The bucket approach is not just about creating 3 accounts and forgetting about them. The strategy has to be managed. Over time, you will need to refill the short-term bucket. And for example, if markets have had a strong year, you might trim some of the long-term bucket and some of the gains from there and replenish the short-term bucket. But if the markets are down, you may lean more on the cash and the conservative bucket and giving your long-term growth bucket time to recover. And that's just the basic idea. You're trying to avoid being forced to sell long-term investments during a bad market just because you need money in retirement. Now, is the bucket approach perfect for everybody? No. Is the bucket approach the only retirement strategy? No. Some people may be better served by a total return strategy, a guaranteed income flooring strategy, or a combination of several approaches. And the right answer depends on things like your income needs, tax situation, Social Security timing, risk tolerance, and how much overall flexibility you want. But for many retirees, the bucket approach is a useful form of mental accounting because it makes the plan just easier to understand. It connects your investments to your real life. And instead of saying I have a big account or portfolio, you can say this money is for the next few years. This money is, designed to be flexible. This is meant to outpace inflation. And so if you are approaching retirement, one of the most important questions to answer is not just how much do I have? It is how am I going to turn what I have into income in a way that is organized, tax aware, and sustainable? A bucket strategy can be a helpful framework, but the retirement income plan should be built around your specific goals. So before you start pulling money from different places, consider talking with a fiduciary financial advisor who can help you build a plan that is designed around your best interests. Thanks for tuning in.